Today we design a brand new farm that produces over 600,000 items an hour, and we have to figure out how to sort, manage, compost, and refuel such an insane farm. We're going to do a technical deep dive on how to design new farms and figuring out systems to make them work in our mega base. We also get into a couple other projects, so let's hop into it. So you'll notice that we have a few squares marked out around the base. These are for the next four farms that are going in. So we're going to have a kelp farm in this area right here, diagonal of the wool farm. Then on the opposite side over here, we're going to put in a melon and pumpkin farm. That should be actually pretty easy. The next one over here is going to be a honeycomb and honey farm. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that one. But the next project that we're going to worry about is the stacked flower farms, because this is going to be not just one flower farm. We're going to have like 6 or 7 of these things stacked up on top of each other, going underground, producing just way too many flowers. Now, flower farms are a classic. I've made a couple of these over the years, but I have not messed with them for a couple of years, so we're going to go design a brand new one. So this is your basic classic flower farm where you just bone meal a bunch of grass and then you shake the ground and that pops off everything. Now, of course, this is a biome specific farm because what flower you get when you bone meal grass depends on the biome, but luckily we actually built our base like in a flower forest, so that would work out. However, we're not going to do this. So on Bedrock Edition, there's a feature where if you bone meal flower directly, it just spreads and you get more and more and more of them. And this works for basically every flower in the game except for the wither rose and like the sniffer flowers and the other specialty ones, because they're just not special. Or they're special in their own way, I guess. You know what? I'm going to stop talking. But yeah, so much for a consistent feature. I mean, none of these ones can be bone mealed, but every other flower in the entire game can. Oh wait, you know what? There's also the what do you call it? It's from the caves. It's the hanging thing. This thing, the spore blossom. Yeah, you can't bone meal this thing either. So it's just like ultra rare for no apparent reason. It's like, what are we doing here, Mojang? So flower rant aside, if you put these guys down a block so they are below the ground, when you bone meal them, you get significantly more flowers, like up to like 15 flowers per bone meal, which means that if you build the farm correctly, you can actually get more bone meal out than you put in. I mean, look at that. That's a ridiculous amount of flowers. Now, unfortunately, you have to use grass for this. I tried like literally everything else that you can plant flowers on, and you can't bone meal flowers on any of these things, and they also won't spread to any of these things, which is really silly. So of course you can automate this fairly easy. We're just bone mealing that bottom flower right there, and then we have a shifting floor. This is a design from a couple of years ago, but I have some pistons right here to also harvest these extra slices, because of course we can't shift this middle layer right here without breaking our center flower. So that's kind of an inefficiency that we need to figure out. If we can harvest this entire 7x7 area every single time, then it becomes bone meal positive, and it's a little bit funny. So the shifting floor method works incredibly well. This is like a silly amount of flowers from such a simple build. The only real downside to this is that the best way to harvest it is by flooding the area with some water. And now you can only do this for a few seconds before your grass starts to die and the flowers don't spread to dirt. So you have to have some extra grass above here in a checkerboard pattern in order to actually spread downwards. So that does reduce your rates ever so slightly. Now remember, we also want to be able to stack this farm on top of each other. We don't just want one of them. We want a whole tower of them, like this tower right here, actually. So this is 6, 7 different farms stacked on top of each other, and for this one, we are using hopper minecarts to actually collect those items. However, the hopper minecarts are not fast enough. You can only transfer out like 18,000 items an hour. Also, these flower farms are incredibly fast, like up to 115,000 items per layer if you use a 2-tick redstone clock to shift the floors, and that's why with some of these designs I'm using like an 8-tick clock or even slower just to try and slow down the farm. Like obviously we're never going to be able to collect all those items with a hopper minecart. And remember, we're building like 5 or 6 of these. We actually did a live stream about this here on the YouTube channel, and we went through a bunch of different iterations and ideas and testing and concepts, and all of them were horrible, but that's why you iterate, because you eventually get to something decent. Now we also thought about using a lathe. It would take about 2 lathes per layer, but as you see, we have to shift the floor pretty slowly for this to even work. Although I do like this little item collection system that I figured out. So they throw all the items into the water there, and then the water just carries them out. This does work. Lathes are a little bit unpredictable, and they're not as fast as they could be. So I'm not going to use this for our design of the base, but it is possible. So for the time being, I've decided to go back to using the water flushing method. We're just keeping the water out for a very small amount of time. That way very little dirt actually dies. And then we have a bunch of extra grass in here to respread spread that as fast as we can, basically. And this farm actually works pretty well. We could even speed it up a little bit if we want to, but actually storing all those items gets to be problematic. But yeah, as you can see, this does actually work fine. It flushes all the items to the exit right there, and then you get a ton of these flowers. I mean, that was only a couple stacks, but this thing has barely been running. So here's a tower of 5 of them, and if we just run this for a minute, you'll see why it's a little bit ridiculous. So this is a normal harvest right here once the farm has been running for a second. As you can see, this is a lot of flowers, like, you know, almost a whole inventory worth. Now, sometimes it doesn't get all the flowers out when it actually flushes the water, so some will end up right there on the edges. So yeah, as you can see, all those items get pushed out there, all the items above drop down. This is a crazy amount of stuff, man. I'm also very happy with the core redstone of this system. There's actually 5 different circuits in this tiny little area. I'll give you a couple seconds to figure out what they all are. Okay, that should be enough time. So due to our very compact core redstone, we only need 2 redstone torches going up to control as many layers as we want. So this is an infinitely stackable build. You can have 100 layers if you really wanted to. And that means that this torch tower is controlling the shifting of the floors and the bone mealing. And this torch tower on the corner is controlling when the water flushes out to actually collect and harvest all of our items. There are some inefficiencies with this build. So we're not collecting the entire 7x7 area. We're missing these 3 blocks right here because we're not shifting those, and of course we're also blocking these 3 blocks right here. Another big problem with stacking up the designs like this is that you have to supply every single layer with some bone meal. Now the easiest way to do that is to just like put a double chest of bone meal up here and then not worry about it for a while. But I did figure out a way to actually distribute the items to every single layer without using hopper minecarts or extra hoppers or any silliness like that. Okay, it's a little bit silly, but I'll share that solution with you guys later. Another concept that was sent in by Batu Crafter over on Twitter is the fact that you could just move the entire floor upwards with slime, and then all the items would translocate up through the floor and automatically be harvested, which I think is a really fun way of doing things. Technically, this would be a little bit slower because you need to wait for the floor to move twice before you can bone meal again. There's always about a million different ways that you can try and solve a problem when you're designing a farm, which is what makes it so fun, and that's why I like to go through a bunch of different iterations and concepts and ideas before finalizing on one for a tutorial. So this kind of nonsense, you know, testing is what happens for literally every single tutorial that I post on the channel. There's always about 5 different failed iterations that never make the cut or see the light of day. So I made a little mock-up area right here. This is a 7x7, and this is for figuring out how to actually collect all the items using water. Now I've gone through a bunch of different iterations on this, and currently my best bet is to have the 2 dispensers raised up in the corner. Of course, you lose some items right here, but we have redstone in this area anyway for activating our dispenser, so they all get pushed to this corner right here. This does mean that we're losing the middle line of 6 grass, which does actually cost us quite a few rates. The heat map of the flower spreading is right around this core right here in the center, so losing these 6 blocks does really hurt the rates. So I would love to find a way to be able to raise up this redstone, fill in this block, but still be able to collect all the items out of here. So I found a better way to do the water. We can simply have 3 dispensers. These ones are at floor layers, so the water is actually out for less time since it doesn't have to spread downwards. But anyway, we can flush out all these flowers now. This actually collects 100% of the flowers. We can push them to the side. Now, this does mean that we have our 6 blocks, you know, in the middle here where we can't actually harvest the farm due to the shifting floors. And I was thinking about using slime, but yeah, that's not going to work. It's just going to break off your flower. I think instead of doing that, we can simply have pistons pushing downwards right here, kind of like in the original design from like 3-4 years ago when I made that. Sometimes the OG solutions are the best, so we can simply go ahead and power these every time that we pulse our floors right here. So this means that we're actually going to be harvesting the entire 7x7 area every single time. We're going to be collecting every single flower out of the farm in a very quick way using the water. We have some very simple item collection on the side right here, and then we're also going to be getting bone meal positive results out of this, so we could actually use this as a bone meal farm, which like we're gonna have to. It produces 115,000 items an hour, and this leaves us with the extra 2 cardinal directions. We can supply this thing with bone meal from one side, and we can also power it with redstone from the other side, and we'll be good to go. And I just need to go ahead and completely redesign this entire tower for the third time. Yep, third time. Okay, well, let's do it then. So I hope that you like flowers. I hope that you really, really, really like flowers, because this might seem like a lot in our inventory right here, but let's just go ahead and get rid of those real quick. That was 1,800, but wait, the farm produces twice that much. Look at that, a whole nother inventory. So this is what a single layer of the farm looks like, and yeah, the top redstone of it's pretty hideous. However, this produces a ton of items, as you saw there. It is bone meal positive. It harvests the entire 7x7 area. It doesn't leave any items behind when it harvests or flushes the items out, and it's super easy to stack together to get a bunch of layers. So let's go build it on the server. For some reason, for somehow, the moon is broken. Well, it's normally broken, but it's blue. Is this what a new moon looks like on a very broken moon? I have so many questions. Okay, so we have the first actual farm in place right now. We do not have the brain of the redstone figured out, but we kind of know, you know, roughly where the other layers are going to be going. So we're going to have a layer right here that you can actually see directly into the farm. Make sure everything's good and working. Now, we're going to have 6 of these in total, meaning that we have our 6 flowers figured out. We're going to have the closed eye blossom that'll give us gray and occasionally orange. Then we're going to have the cornflower for blue, blue orchid for light blue, orange for orange. We could technically skip that, but whatever. We're doing lily of the valley for white, and then white tulip for light gray, because white does not give you white. I mean, like, why does this one give you light gray? It does not compute. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, so we built up the first layer, of course, and now the brain is also installed down here. And now we can do a little test run of this thing. So flick the lever, Kronk, and as you can see, we're gonna get a ton of flowers very, very, very quickly. And after a little while, all of those are gonna get flushed out. And as you can see, boom, it's working. I don't know how many we just got from that, but it's obviously too many. Okay, so that's like 9 stacks of flowers just from that one little run of the farm, and we barely put any bone meal in it. So, yeah, we're gonna have 6 of these things. This is gonna get out of hand very, very, very quickly. Why is there so many bees in my base? I did actually need to build a bee farm. Your bees from Swabwin. Okay, I guess these are my bees from Swabwin. I guess I left bees at spawn for, like, well, the entire season, basically. Well, that's actually kind of convenient. But now we have cute little bees everywhere. I mean, guys, a cute little baby bee, even. Yeah, so they're just gonna fly around the entire base, I guess. Listen, I did not abandon my bees at spawn. They were living a happy, nice little life over at spawn, having a good old time until this. So Zloy's been busy at the town. He's been going ham on the town, really. So things are happening over here. He did happen to tear down the prank that he built around my base, which, like, how dare he? I wanted that there as a reminder that he pranked me, so that I could go back and prank him at some point. Luckily, he did not remove this lovely... The entire season, we've had this little, you know, crafting table chunk base. It's 16 by 16 by 16. And we've been living on top of the blue crew. And the entire season, this staircase has been disgustingly ugly. So we're going to specifically go out of my way just to grief their base real quick. And, oh, hi, there's my piston door. And make this look slightly less ugly right now. Could I have done something about it the entire time? Yes. But listen, Zloy just griefed the entirety of spawn, so they won't even notice. Boom, look at this masterpiece of building right here. I put so much time and effort into this, at least 3 hours of building. We've been here all day, all night. It's been a whole week. So all 6 layers are now installed in the farm, and we're doing a little bit of dry test because we wanted to realize that we didn't place in any of the buttons on this brand new wall that we just installed. So our dry test is successful. As you see, all these layers are indeed flushing how they should, and I think we're all good to go to actually stock this thing up with some bone meal. And, you know what? We're actually not ready for that yet, because I need to figure out some item solutions first. This thing is going to produce just an ungodly amount of flowers, just genuinely way too many. I don't know why I designed it to be so good, but alas, that is my curse of just making too good of a farm. So, we need to figure out what we're going to do with these items real quick. So the farm is technically done and functional right now, but we're figuring out the bone meal distribution system. So we have a bubble column going up the left right here, and it's going to go over, and then any bone meal that doesn't go into that hopper, that'll pick up, you know, 5 stacks of bone meal, basically. That's going to fall down, fill up that hopper, fall down, fill up this hopper right here, and then fall down, fill up that hopper, and then we're just going to zigzag this going all the way down to the very bottom of the build. And honestly, it's a fairly simple solution. This is going to allow us to stockpile the entire build with a bunch of bone meal and a super easy way, just using some water streams. So we got our little zigzag tower of ugliness built up, and it should all be good to go. So this is all of the bone meal that we have to our name right now. It's like, you know, just about 15 stacks. So if we dropped all of this in there, we should see it go down to the bottom. It should go up to there. There it goes. And now it's going to fill in 5 stacks there, drop down, fill in 5 stacks there, go in and fill in 5 stacks right there, go down. And then that's all the bone meal we have. Some of these are bone mealing, some of them are not. I might have forgotten to place in a flower on a couple of these. But as you can see, we do have a lot of flowers going down. And then if we stand over here real quick, we should see just absurd amounts of these things come up. Oh yeah. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. It doesn't stop. Right. So we need composters, and oh boy, do we need a lot of composters. So it's time to bust out the Windows calculator for some math real quick. That way you can understand what we're getting into. So we know that each layer produces around about 105,000 items per hour. That gives us 630,000 items per hour. Divide that by 64 to get 9,800 stacks. Divide that by 60 to get yourself about 164 stacks every minute. Now we know that it takes about 30 seconds to compost a stack of items, so we divide that by 2, meaning that we get 82 stacks of flowers every 30 seconds. So we know that if we compost our 9,800 stacks of flowers, that's going to give us roughly 5.5 bone meal per stack, which equals about 54,000 bone meal per hour. So if we divide that by 64, that is 845 stacks of bone meal an hour, or 93 stacks of bone blocks. Now, doing some other math, we know that the farm is going to consume about 42,000 bone meal an hour, meaning that we should get a profit of around about 10 to 12,000 bone meal an hour if everything works out properly. All this math does rely on the accurate rate test for the flower farm, which I actually haven't done because I've been very busy with everything else in today's video. So we fixed the minor little issues. It was just a solid block missing in there, and then we had 2 of the same type of flower planted in here. But now we should be getting all 6 of the flowers that we need from this thing, so we can turn it on. And guess what? I also built a really sophisticated storage system over here too. It's called a bunch of chests. But now you can see just how fast this thing actually produces items. I mean, that is just, it's absurd. I love every bit of this. Cool. We're probably going to have, yeah, we have a couple little random items dropping up here. But now you get to see the real harvest of this thing. So currently, both sides of the farm are going into this one water stream right here. Look at that. Oh my god. It just keeps going. Oh, that's so stupid. I love it. Look at this. I love seeing that. That is so fun. That is so fun looking. So we figured out a lot of the logistics for the sorting of the bone meal for this farm. So we're going to have a bunch of items come out of that water stream right there, but that's just going to be siphoning off the top. We'll have to set up some item filters at some point. Right now, all the items come out right there. That's a problem. We're going to send all the items out on this water stream, and then we're going to have like a little triple crossroads because we need a tracer coming out of the iron farm. So flowers are going to go across this stream right here down the row. They're going to go into a tower over here and get composted. We'll deal with that in a minute. Bone meal is going to come out of this water stream right here and then go through our triple crossroads. It's going to go up that bubble elevator in the corner and then zigzag down. This bubble elevator needs to be removed because that's going to be the bone meal output of the farm. So any bone meal that doesn't go into this farm will come out of another tracer right here and go to the bees. I don't know, man. Just like, we'll figure that out later. Listen, we need to build up a lot of water streams right now. And then, oh yeah, figuring out the composter tower. That's going to be a whole deal. I didn't think I would have to have an entire tower of composters, but alas, we actually do. I've decided to be nice to the bees for once in my life, and I'm going to give all of these bees one flower. They're going to fight to the death over it, and it'll be great. Gladiator style. I don't know. Look at this. Yeah, look at this. That one's king of the hill right now. He's defending his territory from like 5. Oh, he got pushed out. He got pushed out. Oh, jeez. It's a feeding frenzy over here. That one in the middle's doing good. He's doing good. He's holding his ground against the entire masses of other bees. Oh, it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Yes. All hail King Beautiful. Yeah. Oh, he got pushed out of center. Ah, no, he's been dethroned. Are you not entertained? It's been 84 years, but we have some water streams installed in a little bit of a way, and I did something that I don't think anyone's ever done before. I made a stack and a half of composters, technically 106, and I think this is maybe all the hoppers that we'll need. We're using the entire allotment of hoppers in the entire base in one build. Seriously, this has more hoppers in it than, like, the center of the base, probably. We've been using water streams absolutely everywhere that we can because I don't want to use hoppers anywhere. And then this one build requires 2 hoppers per composter. I overheated my brain cell to figure out this next piece of logic, but our yeah, brain cells overheated. The flowers come in, they drop down, they go up, and then they're gonna go over, and then, we were gonna have a piece of ice in the middle for nice symmetry, so we'd have, like, a water source right here, but then we're figuring out how to, like, get it all the way around, because water only goes 8, and that's a 9 block. So instead, we're gonna have 2 pieces of ice down the middle for symmetry. So now we'll have water coming in this way, items will float on across, and then water source right here, items go over, float across, they go around the corner, float across, and then we just basically zigzag that all the way back and forth. Each of these hoppers is going to be filled up with 4 non-stackable items. That way the hopper is only trying to pick up items in the very first slot instead of all 5. Now we want to fill up these slots, that way we don't have 5 stacks of flowers in each one of these hoppers, because they're just never going to work through that backlog. Okay, well, we're just working on filling up all of these hoppers with some non-stackable items right now, and as you can see, this is basically the item path. This is also showing us that, yes, indeed, these items will travel across this thing pretty well. I think we're going to line up the items before they go into this bubble column. That way they're kind of like on the edge. We don't want any of them falling in there. And also, you probably noticed that we're using iron shovels, and that is indeed what we're doing. We have way more iron than we have cobblestone, as it turns out. So this is actually the cheapest way to do things. Okay, and then I need to go through all of these and pick one shovel out of all of them. So of course the top is like the easy part, and now we gotta figure out the bottom of this. So all of these need hoppers underneath them, leading into auto droppers. And the bone meal is gonna be going out over here, but that doesn't really matter. We could just make these shoot downwards, but what we need to think about is, like, how are we gonna do the systems above this? Because we're not just gonna have one layer. This is only 36 composters. We need 3 times this many. So we need to have a layer above this and a layer below this, identical. So figuring out all of the redstone for that might be a little bit of a challenge. I don't know if it's gonna require 2 blocks for the redstone, or if we can make it kind of go up. As you can see, we have like a little bit of room up there. And now all of this thing is actually pretty much ready to go. So we're gonna go ahead and throw in ourselves 37 stacks of flowers just to see how exactly it handles just way too much stuff. And it should sound absolutely beautiful. That was more than I wasn't counting. Let's throw in some more. Oh, there they go. Well, we can keep that as a feature. That sounds great. Beautiful. So each one of these is gonna pick up, I think I crashed the server. Hello? Knock, knock. Hello? Hello? Oh, that's not a good sign. Well, the compost cube is too powerful. It's too powerful. Whoopsie. Did I do that? You know what? Zloy was online. I think I'll blame it on Zloy. Surely they did something equally as ridiculous as the compost cube. Okay, it's totally fine. Nothing went wrong at all. And as you can see, it sounds beautiful. Beautiful. Look at all this bone meal it's producing. Lovely. That was like 2 stacks of bone meal. Okay, so we're gonna take all of the bone meal from here, send it down this lovely, very watery water stream that we have, and then it's gonna go all the way down over here. It's gonna cross over the stream of the iron farm, and then drop it straight down this hole right here. And then all of that is gonna go up this elevator. Boop, there it goes, and zigzag down. Once all the bone meal is done from there, and once all of these have a nice, you know, all 5 layers have a stockpile of 5 stacks, any extra bone meal that somehow magically survived the onslaught of flower farmage will come up over here, and then we'll send it back to the base. Or we'll send it off to another farm that requires bone meal, I guess. Listen, that's too many questions. Stop asking questions. So working on the second layer now, we figured out our dropper issues. Yeah, so basically we're just having the comparator down there power that sticky piston so it pushes the observers upwards, and then we're powering the droppers from above. That way we're not powering any of our hoppers at this layer right here directly. That way we get full item transfer speed. But now you can see that we have another issue, and that is that the base is completely full of redstone right here. So technically this hopper is locked, and so is this one, meaning that we're actually losing bone meal in the system. Several lots. Oh my, wow, so much. And we have a shovel in there. That's probably not a good sign. But Yes, we just need to remove this layer of blocks right here. Oh man, these things are still full of flowers too. Okay, so things have progressed. We now have 3 layers of this. Quite the abomination, isn't it? Perfect, it'll fit in with the other abomination. Also, a nice blue and orange combo that we got going on over here. Now, we need to fill in every single one of those hoppers with 4 shovels. And the way that we're going to do that is basically just throw them all into this water stream and let them go all the way around the system. And that way we don't need to do it ourselves. We're also going to have to double check absolutely every single one of these, because you know that some of them randomly picked up items that they shouldn't have. If I was smart, I would like count how many shovels we need or something, but ain't nobody got time for that. And then we get to see them go along the system. Look how happy they are. Happy little shovels. Swimming along in their natural habitat. I don't know if I've ever seen something quite this stupid before. So this looks like a simple tower of composter, doesn't it? But it's not. We've been working on this for like 4 hours, and I think it's finally complete. So in theory, everything should work perfectly. We're going to have all the flowers come in from here. They're going to go up the elevator, and they're going to loop all the way around. They'll drop down to that layer. They'll drop down to the bottom layer. And then if somehow all the flowers survive 115 composters, then the flowers are going to drop down to this water stream, and guess where they're going to go? Right back up that bubble elevator to go right back around and take another loop around the farm, because that's my current best plan for what to do with those. So if somehow we are over capacity and we completely max out all of these composters, we'll just have to add another layer. That's the only solution. But all of the bone meal is going to get shot out of those droppers. Looks like I'm actually missing a line of blocks right here. That seems important. Okay, I guess we'll have to fix that real quick, and then all the bone meal should go right back on over to the farm. Okay, so we can do a secondary test run of this thing just by dropping in, you know, a small portion of flowers, and those should all go all the way up to the top. Yes, perfect, brilliant. Now we should have all these water streams set up in a way that no items actually get stuck inside of the hoppers. They should all float right over the top because they're lined up on the edges. And yeah, as you can see, we're getting a bunch of bone meal. Look at all that. That's crazy. Oh no, we're having some getting lost on the edges down there. Are we? I think we might have to use some powdered snow in front of these droppers. That way, hopefully the items fall like straight down. Hold up, bone meal is actually getting delivered to this farm over here. Look at this. It's bouncing up and it's going and it's doing the zig and the zag. So it seems like we have a pretty successful test run of this system. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw in a bunch of items right here. And then, you remember these 3 double chests of flowers that we have over here? Yeah, we're going to take all of these, and we're also going to throw them onto this pile right here. Yeah, so just this many flowers. Okay, so now we have a flower singularity right there of like 3 and some double chests of flowers. We're going to break out that piece of glass, and now let's just watch this thing go. There's so many particles every time it hits the water. Beautiful. Beautiful. And now it's going to get up the bubbles. Yeah, there it goes. And it's gonna fill up this entire system. I love this. Everything is just getting maxed out with a full stack of flowers. This thing is gonna sound absolutely horrible. So all those flowers should go around and drop down. Perfect. They're gonna go fill up this layer. Perfect. We haven't tested the system to this point, so something could break and then we would just have like 1,000 flowers. It's gonna go down another layer as well. Right here. Perfect. Brilliant. And I can see we're already getting so much bone meal out of this. It hasn't even filled up the 3rd layer yet. All of those go around. All of these are gonna start composting now. Okay. Here we go. Okay, and now they go down, but guess what? They're not done yet. They gotta come back up. Oh, they fell down. Oh no, I tried to avoid that. But yeah, that was beautiful sounding. Right, so they all fell down a layer. So yeah, they're just kind of like right here. But we have like not that many left over actually. This isn't so bad. But this system handled all of that remarkably well. And now all of that bone meal is flying across the system and going up over here. So this thing is fully successful in all the ways that we could possibly imagine. We went and installed a little bit of a tiny you know, temporary on-off switch for this thing. So that should turn the farm on now. There should be plenty of bone meal in this thing for the most part. Yeah, there it goes. Looked like it just had to, you know, let the bone meal get through the hoppers and into the droppers. So this one is producing the open eye blossoms because apparently it's nighttime in there. Okay, now it's producing the closed ones. Okay, it produces both. Don't worry about it. It's fine. And now all those items are going to flood out. We should see those items actually pop up this stream in a moment. Give it time. Give it time. It's working. It's working. It's thinking. There it goes. Yeah. Oh my god. That's so many more than I expected. Okay. Well, those are going to go off and get composted. Bye. And then you can see them popping up over here. Oh, I love that they like fly up in the air. It's so unnecessary, but it makes this whole thing way more whimsical and way more fun. Just because we're allowed to have joy in the world. Powdered snow was a perfect fix for those droppers losing items. It cancels out the sideways momentum, so they just fall straight down, basically. And now all of our bone meal is going back around, and it's getting recycled back over into this thing. So in theory, this should be producing more bone meal than it consumes. We're gonna have to run this for a little while just for it to, you know, start kicking into action. I assume the bottom layers are gonna run out of bone meal first for a little while, and then they're not going to produce any flowers. So we're going to have to wait a minute for this thing to stock itself up. But I think we'll be good to go. Look at all those flowers go. Look at all that bone meal go. This is so good. This right here is what we live for. So if you ever want some flowers, you can come, like, stand right here. And then you'll get, like, 2 flowers. Or you'll get, like, 12 stacks of flowers. Or you'll get an entire inventory of flowers. Man, this thing is cranking out the bone meal, too. Oh, man, look at this. 54 bone meal already. We got 63, we got, oh man, this thing is cooking! Now this is automation. We got flowers going down the one side, we got, you know, the bone meal going down the other. We're also gonna have iron farm items coming across this stream as well. But man, items just go zooming. So to give you a better idea of how exactly the system is working, I got the spectator account. So we're bone milling all the flowers in there. Those are gonna get flushed out by the water, as you can see there. Now all the items are flowing down on 2 sides of the build. As you see, we got a water stream there and a water stream there. Those combine down at the bottom. Then those go around and go up a bubble elevator. As you can see, they jump out of the water like a happy fun time. Those are gonna go along this water stream. They actually get naturally aligned on this edge right here, so I didn't need to worry about that. They go up the elevator, as you can see, and now they're gonna go across all of the composters. If by some miracle we fill up all the composters, they're actually going to drop out the back of this layer and then go down into this water stream. That way they go right back up that same bubble elevator. So they just get recycled. And I don't actually know how many composters it does fill up. I imagine it's at least down to the second layer. Or maybe we truly only needed 1 layer of composters. I don't know. It looks like they're making it most of the way past the first layer, but of course, you know, this thing is getting restocked. It's only been running for about a minute. So all of our droppers are auto-shooting out the bone meal. As you can see, all of that falls down and goes into this water stream, which goes on up and around. And then all that bone meal just goes back to this location, falls down. That way it can go into this bubble elevator. Technically, it doesn't really need to fall down. I guess we could change that a little bit. But anyway, it's gonna go all the way up this, jump out of the water, have a happy fun time, and then I wish we could see into inventories in spectator mode on Bedrock, but you can only do that on Java. But as you can see, that bone meal is going to be falling down. It looks like most of it is just going into the first couple of layers, which is kind of what I expected. I'm not exactly sure a good way to evenly distribute it across all the layers besides what we have right here. So I just realized that the bottom layer isn't actually producing anything. Something is done broken. Something is done broken wrong. Oh, we're just missing a single piece of redstone dust. Okay, well that's a slight problem. Oh, so maybe the entire rates that we've been seeing this whole time are not the true rates. It should be producing 1/6 more. Yeah, so I think that the distribution method of bone meal is a little bit flawed. So not only is it just giving the first couple layers all of the bone meal, because, you know, of course, these things are always picking up some, but it's also stockpiling more bone meal than it should. So the top 3 layers have like an extra 9 stacks of bone meal in them than I didn't quite expect. So this right here is letting through more bone meal than it needs to. And I'm not really sure a way to fix that. But we need probably a better way of distributing all these items to all the different layers. So if you have any ideas for that, let me know. It's got to be pretty fast, so I think water streams are the way to go. But how do we split up this water stream into like 6 different outputs that are evenly distributed to all of these guys? I have no idea. Because, yeah, right now only the top 3 layers are actually getting bone meal. The bottom 3 are completely out of bone meal right now. And that's after I put in about 5 stacks of bone blocks as well to help kickstart this thing. So I think the whole system is a bone meal positive. It's just not quite distributing those items in a way where all the layers get the bone meal that it should. So if we look inside of these droppers, yeah, see there's a whole bunch of extra bone meal on these top 3 layers. So the bottom 3 layers are just not quite getting the bone meal that they deserve. So maybe we could just split this water stream into 2 somehow. I'm not sure how exactly you would do that, but then we could have one section go the top 3, and then another section go to the bottom 3, and maybe that would fix it? Or we could simply take 2 outputs from this thing, since we do have the 2 different slices of the auto droppers, and we could send those kind of over here like that. I'm not sure. We'll have to think about a better way of doing this item distribution, but that's where we're gonna have to leave this project for today. If you enjoyed this video, then drop a like, share it around, and subscribe. And if you have any ideas for that item distribution, then let me know down in the comments, and you might get mentioned in the next video.